go, here we go, here we go, here we go. It is Markets in the Morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market, including the Bitcoin price chart, which we have here on the screen. Look over there at the Altcoin market, the XRP price chart, talk about United States stock market, which is set to open up in about 28 minutes from right now. So you can fast forward this thing by about a half an hour to get to the market opening if you're watching the replay, or you can just hang out and listen to me ramble for a half an hour before we get there. We'll check out precious metals like gold or silver and the US dollar currency index or the DXY. And of course, talk about any type of financial news or crypto news going on out there to start our midweek. And then hang out in the chat for a little while. So welcome to Wednesday, everybody. 107K for Bitcoin.
It is Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday, my
All right, there we go. Happy Wednesday, everybody. We always try to have a good time here on Wednesdays because, well, it's the third best day of the week behind Friday and Saturday. Let's see, what do we got going on here today? We got quite a few things to talk about here. I did have a little bit of stuff we could talk about here before we kick it off. We had kind of a mixed morning there in stocks. Like there was some opening. There was quite a bit of green in stocks prior to some economic data that just recently came out on job hirings. I think we'll see it over there on CNBC when we get over there, but they kind of took a little bit of a U-turn. The only index that is slightly up is the Russell 2000, but it's only up 0.01%. But you look at like the Dow, it's down 0.11%, and the Nasdaq down 0.25%. The S&P down 0.12%. So you could almost call it a flat opening. Just the Nasdaq down a little bit more, mainly big tech, right? Let's look over here at Bitcoin, though, as we get ready to kick off this fine day. As you can see, overnight, we got a little bit of a ricochet happening here on the Bitcoin price chart. The big debate that we're all stuck in right now, of course, is just what is this recovery structure going to look like now that we've done, hip hip hooray, our ABC correction in here and waiting for things to bust out of here. I think I saw a super chat or a membership come in here. What did it say? It says, are we, from Pew Pew, it says, are we in no sleep season or not until breaking the bull flag? Yeah, it's definitely got a break here. Are you looking at the charts having a hard time sleeping, or are you looking at the charts just bored? Right. No sleep season is where you like wake up, you look, and like 5 of the cryptos you own are up over 30% for the day. That's kind of what no sleep season is like. And we'll kind of review that again, just talking about the really bigger picture for Bitcoin and for the crypto market and for XRP. When does XRP have its bull runs? We'll talk about that stuff this morning too. Because it's all one big giant picture. And I know, I don't think the majority of my audience tunes in here to see Bitcoin price behavior, but to understand how the whole big picture of all crypto is tied together. So the big debate right now is, whether or not this is going to end up turning into one of these, right? Which we've kind of already partially done, it would appear, if we're just going to end up flagging in here and then eventually busting. It's just so hard to know if it's just going to be, these things that are just going to meander here and then work their way up. And right now there's just nothing happening that's like, there's nothing busting out telling you that it's happening. There's no like altcoin. Like, let's see, do we have anything on the right side of the screen over here? No, we'll go over here. Right. Yeah, you got grain. Yeah, you got something 8%, but you don't have like any like 30s and 40s. And I know that sounds crazy, but this is crypto, right? Crypto does those 30, 40% stuff. We don't have any of those things happening on like consecutive days in a row to imply there's like an expansion happening yet. So it's like we're still just waiting for the market to get a trigger. And I talked about that in the newsletter. I believe I talked about that in the video on Monday. I know Tuesdays have become a little bit more spotty. You guys know that, we got mother-in-law's a little sick. We have a lot going on with her on Tuesdays. but that we're waiting for like a trigger to come and happen for this market. And if you caught it yesterday, let me see if I can go find it. This is fascinating to me, and I believe it. I believe this 100%. What will be the catalyst narrative for crypto to go up? Have you ever seen a poll as divided as it is right here on what it could be? Big, beautiful bill, surprise crypto related, surprise Mac related, utility actually happens. You ever seen anything like that before on a poll? Ever? Never. Right? So what does that tell me? It tells me that the market doesn't have their narrative right now. It doesn't have their FOMO thing to happen, or their catalyst, or their trigger, or the thing that makes them say this time is different. And like the thing that was like the real big surprise in 2021 that started making the peak for Bitcoin and the rallies happening, right, was the surprise, right? It was Elon Musk and Tesla announcing Bitcoin being added to their balance sheet. And that was the big surprise of the market for the peak, for everything to everybody to YOLO by the top. So I think we're still waiting on what a trigger will be and the narrative will be for the peak. And it's very clear we don't have a narrative that people are latching onto. And again, that's like a sentiment thing too. Like we talk about how sentiment is really deteriorated. It's going to remain that way. There would be a lot of fear in this. What do you know? We get a fear event happening during all this, and that sentiment still remains deteriorated. It was really deteriorated right in here before we ripped and roared. If you don't remember that, back in September and October, all the things were going to crash again. We're going into the 40s, and then nobody believing we're going to pump, and then we end up pumping, right? So I think we're still just waiting for what that thing could be, and whether that's going to end up being the Fed cutting, right? And I was reading something online, and it wasn't like an article or anything like that. Somebody had made a comment that like, market topping in 3 months or in 2 months or something like that. And somebody replied to it and said, how stupid could you be? Just look at what's going to happen with the Fed, right? The Fed's going to start their cutting cycle there in like September or October, and they're going to be on a cutting spree, and that's going to be able to propel the market much higher. And I thought to myself, man, that's the exact type of typical retail behavior that you see, that you see an event out on the horizon, it's coming, everybody knows it's coming, and you think when the event happens, that's when things are going to be really bullish, and it's going to keep roaring from there. But typically what happens with markets is once they become like assured that that's actually going to end up coming, the market will rally to the event, right? We all know that. And then once it ends up happening, that's it, right? That's the end. That's when it's over. And so, if the Fed starts broadcasting ahead of time, we are going to start a cutting cycle soon. We're going to stop with all that. You guys know it because we watch all the Jerome Powell press conferences on here. Where, he's like, I don't know. If they finally say, okay, finally, we got it. Inflation's cool. We're good. Tariffs are not a problem. Blah, blah, blah. Let's start cutting. Let's start ramping up the economy, right? They'll be front running to that. And then when it happens, that could end up being the peak, right? So is that our narrative? Don't know. Is it going to be the big, beautiful bill, right? Like, I think people think it's so assured that the big, beautiful bill is going to pass. But I've, of course, been plugging it into ChatGPT to be like, what is the statistical probability of this getting passed, right? And it's like, okay, well, you got to get through the Senate, then you got to get through the House. And if there's changes, could be revisions and everything like that. And it was like, what do you think the statistical probability of it getting approved by July 4th is? Because that's when Trump wants to have it done, right? By Independence Day. Had it at about a 43% chance, and that was prior to getting through the Senate. So, you have a market that, isn't 100% sure, right, if it's going to end up going through, right? You have Elon Musk sitting there fighting against it, not wanting it to happen, right? And you got some politicians not on board, some on board, and market's real confused on what to do with that. Is that going to get approved by Friday? Don't know. Right? Or is it going to be a macro-related thing? Is Elon going to come out again and start promoting crypto again? You don't know what the narrative is, but the reality is no one has a narrative to attach themselves to yet. And I find that fascinating because when the narrative does come, it's going to be something nobody expected, or it's just going to be the big, beautiful bill, or it's going to be the Fed, whatever it is. But it could certainly be something that nobody knows what it is, and it completely shocks and surprises the world. And that's what gets this thing to catalyze itself out of here. I don't even know if that's a word, catalyze. The catalytic pump. I don't know. But my thoughts are there's probably going to have to be something. There's going to have to be some narrative, something that draws retail in, because we don't have a very clean-cut narrative, but that one clean-cut narrative will eventually come. And so right now we're just kind of sitting back waiting to see, is there going to be an event that causes that, or is it just going to be completely technical that gets its way out of here? Things that we have seen happen in the market, of course, is just like even the Russell 2000, right? And I wrote about this in the newsletter. I talked about this in the video on Monday. These are the same ranges that Bitcoin's been stuck in here, like for the Russell 2000, or you look over here at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, right? This is all the same exact time frame here for the Dow and for the S&P 500 and for the NASDAQ. They're all just stuck in here. And you got all these escapes, right? We've shown Coinbase, right? Coinbase has escaped. The indexes are escaped. The Russell 2000 shifting up at the same time. It just feels like it's just a matter of time before Bitcoin goes to. And then my speculation, of course, is that the rest of the altcoin market. Now, for the rest of the altcoin market, let's pretend that this is the path for Bitcoin. Okay, let's pretend that's the path for Bitcoin. Do you think alt season will happen there? Do you think your altcoins would pump? No. History would suggest that your altcoins would stay sad and pathetic, and that Bitcoin would ramp and roar and fly into that type of environment, because altcoins only tend to run in two very specific environments. And that is when, one, Bitcoin is breaking out into a new all-time high and expanding above a previous high, or two, when Bitcoin is topping and we're reaching the end of an actual cycle. So, all these talks and everything like that, and me being like, bullish on altcoins and things like that, is because my belief is that everything that we've done up until this moment, in which we've been talking about for months, that all of this is what happens before we go set our top for Bitcoin. And so if we're about to set our top for Bitcoin, then it would imply that is historically the most favorable place for the altcoin market. It was true in 2013, 2017, and in 2021, right? Back in April and May of 2021, that is where it would happen at. So those are my thoughts. That's where I think we are. I think we're about to produce the top over here for Bitcoin. And, the thing that I've done for years, right, is when it comes to talking about XRP. So here we go. We'll talk about XRP. When have XRP bull runs ever taken place? Right? They've always occurred simultaneously with the rest of the market, with the altcoin market, with Bitcoin, or when Bitcoin is in very specific phases. This entire rally right here is the expansion of Bitcoin breaking from its all-time high. Its 2013 all-time high gets cleared and it goes. And then this one is the peak of the market, right? This, of course, you have all your SEC stuff. And well, now that over the last several years, I've said it's really hard to know whether or not the SEC with certainty did squash the price, because we've proven time and time again that XRP's expansions happen when Bitcoin's expanding into a new all-time high. And of course, the SEC made their attack 5 days after XRP went into an all-time high or Bitcoin went into an all-time high, and 5 days later, that's when the SEC went for the attack and squashed the price of XRP, right? So I've always been really indifferent. Like, the obvious answer is, of course they did, right? Of course they squashed it. But now we see the clear evidence that XRP is still continuing to act like it always has, right? And so I saw a lot of people posting over there on Twitter, why this XRP pump happened. Like, Brad Garlinghouse did something, or Ripple did something, or XRP did something independently, and that caused a big fat bull run. But here's the cold, hard truth of what happened with XRP, right? Here's Bitcoin, right? Here's the run back up, right? Here is the actual clearing and expansion happening for Bitcoin, breaking through the all-time high and going. When does the bull run start for XRP? Literally on the expansion of Bitcoin, right? So the behavior of XRP's price has in no way changed from what it has historically done. It is just doing with what the rest of the market is doing, and it's doing it right when it is supposed to do it. Right when we see expansions happening in the market, there goes the price. It's not debatable. It's not flip the switch. It's not secrets upon secrets, money things, and all the money's moving through it and all that kind of stuff. It's just doing what it always has done. No narrative, no story, no nothing, no news, nothing. Doing exactly what the market has always done. So we come back to here and you say, well, I'm bullish on altcoins, right? Because we have to enter one of those environments, right? If Bitcoin is firing to $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, and we're only at $107,000 right now, so historically speaking, with over a decade of data, it would say your altcoins are going to do a thing. Good news is, I really don't think that's the case. I really think that Bitcoin's going to be producing its top in here, and that we've done everything we should have done throughout here for that phase to come in. So when I'm bullish on altcoins, I'm bullish because I think the top is in. So you have a lot of people who get really conflicted on that because we've gone through multiple market cycles now, and you see what happens in there. People say, oh, how could you be a bear? There's all these Bitcoin treasuries, blah, blah, blah. And you get painted as this bad guy. But what you're saying is this is the environment you have to be in. Your narratives that you've built and brainwashed yourself to believe are just not true. The data all exists here to show you exactly how prices react, right? That it happens right when it always does. It happens right on expansions, and it happens when you reach market tops. So right now, we have to get to a phase, hate to say it, your bull thesis for XRP, your bull thesis for your altcoins is that the top of Bitcoin is actually coming in pretty soon. And all historical data shows that to be true. So the good news is I think we are. The bad news is I don't know what it's going to be like for the next year or two after this. It could get ugly, right? It could get ugly. And my thoughts are the Bitcoin treasuries will be the capitulation moment of the market. Like we had down in here, I think all the Bitcoin treasuries will be the capitulation moment of the market when that eventually comes. I've been trying to do ChatGPT research on all these things and figure out how do they work? How do they make money? The narrative, of course, for general retail investors is they're just buying Bitcoin. That's all they're doing. They are spot buying and loading up on Bitcoin and hodling it because they're just like me. No, that is not what they're doing. Right. For every Bitcoin they buy, they go short one on Bitcoin futures, capturing a spread. It's a way to make USD. So, yeah. Look into that. Look into that. Dylan LeClaire wrote a beautiful write-up about it. Edward Lang, man. My gosh. Brother, you've been doing that all the time, man. Thank you. I'll address that in a minute. Edward Lang gave out 100 memberships. My gosh. Thank you, brother. So anyway, that's where I think we are, right? I think we're about to enter the excitement part of the market because we're going to be entering market tops. And, the reason we look at this stuff and we've looked at it through this light is because that's where this is. That's where market top is. And so market top is where you tend to see the wild, wicked behavior of the altcoin market. And of course, as we know, Bitcoin dominance has gotten all the way back to the very last retracement levels. If there's a place for it to happen, it's right here. So that's where we're at, right? That's what all these things are. That's what all these structures do. Is give you another escape, and I think we're going to get that escape, but I also think we're going to build a market top for Bitcoin, and a market top will create euphoria, and I think we don't have a narrative, and I think we'll get ourselves a narrative to get everybody to buy the top, to believe this isn't the top, right? Remember these words I just said. Remember this. I believe some type of narrative will come out that will get everyone to believe that the market top is not the top, but it'll be the top. But right now, the market does not have the narrative. What will that be? We'll see. We'll see what it is. Magical unicorn fairy dust. So there you go. So that as for XRP, that's what we're waiting on. We're waiting on Bitcoin. And I know that again disappoints everybody who believes in a lot of like fantasy stuff. But you tell me that it's acting any differently than it ever has. You tell me. The good news is, right, it doesn't imply that Bitcoin has already topped. It implies that the top still has to be built. And what we know is that when a top is being built, is this not going to work? Right, obviously, you can see here's an ABC. There's a top being built, right? As it breaks from the ABC, what happens to XRP? Boom. But let's go to Bitstamp. As you could see, as the top is being built, what happens? XRP, go. Right, so what happens if it continues grinding? Nothing. Nothing. So the things you are looking for are expansions or tops. And, you know, that's, I feel like I just have to preface that because I'm going to face so much backlash for talking about it in this manner for Bitcoin moving forward. But this is what we look for in order to see altcoin wild, wicked behavior, is that you want to see a market top being built. You either want expansion or you want a market top, right? And so with the things that we've been talking about on the channel for as long as we have, we're looking for a market top, right? You get it? No, got it. If you don't get it at this point, this might not be the channel for you. I'm not effectively communicating to you at this point. All right, there you go. So obviously, like we've talked about, we've already seen macro ranges start to get escaped on several of these things in here. Of course, the Dow, the Russell, the NASDAQ, and the S&P 500 have all escaped this range, just awaiting Bitcoin to do the same thing. So the wait goes on, and that's what we'll be just focusing on, twiddling our thumbs about in the coming days. Hopefully not weeks. You know, if it's weeks, then it's probably something like this. If it's days, then it may not be that long at all, right? Like if the oh no, the big beautiful bill, it's not going to pass. No, they're not going to get it. Oh, wait a minute. There's some hope. There's some optimism. Maybe. Oh, you know, I don't know. Like that's what this would look like, right? That's what this little bull flag would look like. If it's drawn out, then we got probably a month in here. So we're just kind of waiting on it to get our answer. So there you go. Gold, nothing to say about gold, right? It's stalled out. We'll see if it pulls off the XRP style. Where it's already gone parabolic, it stalls, right? With XRP, it did the whole, this thing, right? Still range bound stuck, but, right? Let's go to this. Right, what do you got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, stall. 1, still continues. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stalls. Is it going to do that push? It could not, right? We know that it's the altcoin market. Where do we go? Where are we? The altcoin market did not set a new high in that, right? So it's really, this could be anything in here. Either one, wouldn't be surprised. If it sets a new high, it's probably just going to stop there at like 3,600 or something like that, and then we just continue. I just wouldn't be surprised if we're actually kind of in a multi-year range for gold now. So, all right, there you go. Bitcoin, we await the breakout. I talked about showing how XRP's expansions have occurred with Bitcoin. So not to be too alarmed or mad or angry about this. If you are an XRP holder, the evidence still shows and suggests unequivocally the price moves with the market at specific phases of the market. XRP's price exploded once Bitcoin was able to expand, right? And actually broke from its previous all-time high. That's what we're kind of waiting on now. We're waiting to see if we can get another expansion happening in here and extreme euphoria enter the market with some type of narrative. That's the best chance for the price to do it. So the thing is, like, people don't want to hear that. They hate hearing that. But if anybody is going to say that the price of XRP is going to go up, this better be your thesis. Your thesis needs to be it's going to be the top because we're beyond expansion. The good news is my thesis is the top. So that'll be that. All right, so we'll keep checking on it as time goes by. Otherwise, looking over here at the market, do we dare do it? Let's go. The private sector lost 33,000 jobs in June, badly missing expectations for a 100,000 increase. Oh! If my wife just heard me do that. That's an inside thing. Okay, have you ever been fishing before? I'm just going to comment on this and then we'll get back to the news because you guys know I love the news. You ever been fishing before with your buddies and you just kind of set your poles up and everybody's just kind of minding their business and then one of your buddies goes, whoop! What does that mean? Means he's probably getting a hit, right? He's getting a bite, right? So, you know, it's a really big inside joke in my family that if you do that, in public settings, for example, if you're just minding your business in a restaurant or if you're in a grocery store and you just randomly go, you will certainly turn eyes. People will certainly look at you like, what? All right, we'll move on from that. Give it a try. It's a good time. Or if you go to like your child's dance rehearsal, band show, and it's silent, and you just drop a big fat in the middle of the amphitheater. That's a great one. All right, I'm done. Okay. Private sector lost 33,000 jobs in June, badly missing expectations for a 100,000 increase. S&P 500 futures turned negative after unexpected decline in private payrolls. 10-year Treasury yield remains higher despite weak ADP jobs. All right, House Republicans don't have the votes yet to pass Trump's mega bill. So there you go. See, like we were just talking about that with the bill. There is still uncertainty surrounding that thing. A bare bones deal is Europe's best hope in trade talks with the U.S., sources say. Good old sources. Judgeless Celsius 4 billion Bitcoin lawsuit against Tether move forward. Bitcoin profit taking makes 140K key BTC price point. Pakistan will deploy Bitcoin reserve and DeFi for yield, says Bilal bin Saqib. Competition heats up as crypto exchanges vie for European market. The renaissance returns with decentralized AI. That was all fluff. Nothing. Texas makes gold, silver legal tender following governor's approval. Yeah, we'll see about that. Can you imagine walking into a 7-Eleven and you got like a 1/10 an ounce of silver? That ain't gonna happen. All right, Circuit unveils recovery system to solve crypto's permanent loss conundrum. Watch these XRP levels as price meets turning point. Robinhood launches Layer 2 blockchain for stock trading in Europe. And analysts raise chance of Solana, XRP, and Litecoin ETF approval to 95%. And that is the news. On that note, we'll hop into the chat. Happy Wednesday. It's a good day in markets, right? Everything's cool. Everything's chill. We're still just waiting for a breakout of the range after completing our ABC already.
It is Wednesday, my It is Wednesday.
Alrighty. Boom. Oh, wow. Texas Takeover killing it. All right, brother. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. That pretty much wraps up what's going on out here. I'm going to go ahead and hop into the chat. We'll hang out for about 25, 30 minutes, and then we'll get on to our day. Oh, wait, I missed something. There was something I did want to talk about first, and that was the DXY. Sorry, guys. Not done. If you left, how dare you? It's your fault, not mine. All right. Anyway, the dollar, obviously, where we all know, right? So I just wanted to talk about, again, another kind of confluence thing on looking for things to be breaking out, us to be making a market top, and for a lot of euphoria to hit the market. When you try to draw in just any type of confluence to historical behavior on things like even the US dollar currency index, right? Our last bull runs in crypto took place in these environments right here, right? And we didn't actually end up seeing anything come from the crypto market until the bottom of the dollar was actually in. And I'll clean this up a little bit, get you a little bit of a better visual. Okay. Right. This is the altcoin market, right? Look where it is. It's all the way down here. So sad, so pathetic, so nothing, right? We don't actually see the bull run come in until the dollar has already fallen all the way down and already bottomed. So essentially you just see weakness in the dollar, and then what does it do? It really just double bottoms, and that's where we see our entire bull run end up happening. And then once it reverses from here, the bull run's essentially over. 90% of altcoins topped in here. Very few went on to set new all-time highs in here. And things that did, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, obviously not by much, right? 90% of the market all topped right in here. So our true bull run, it all takes place right in here, right? We have just a very kind of structural 7-wave setup, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then finally the last one. It's very interesting to see that we've really kind of done that here right now, over here in the dollar currently. And so, I know everybody looks at the dollar and says, oh, the dollar's got to collapse, and that's what's going to end up happening, and the falling dollar is gaining more narrative and things like that. But we're also really kind of equivalent to what we were like in 2021 with the depth of the fall that we've actually already seen in the dollar. And to remember that we didn't actually even see the market do anything until it got here. So what do we have? We have a completed ABC on what potentially is then the final euphoria phase of a market to produce a top. Which, when that happened for the dollar, where was it? Right in here to produce the final euphoria phase of the market. So we produce an ABC. We're at the phase where you go YOLO, right, for a final phase. And we also happen to be in here. Of course, we've built lots of other confluence factors showing these breakouts happening in the Dow. We're talking about rotational tops. We're talking about escaping on the Russell, the S&P, all that different stuff. But again, even tying into the picture of the DXY, this is what the DXY did in 2021. And it actually took literally getting right there. And that's actually where the bull started. So, people are maybe misconstrued to think that the dollar has to fall drastically in order for the market to rip. But the truth was, our bull run did not even come close to starting for the rest of the market until that actually ended up happening. And the bottom was already in for the dollar the entirety of this. So, I don't know. I thought I would just show that to you there on the dollar. I found that a little interesting to see where we actually are. And that was the starting point of 2021. So, okay, let's hop into the chat. We got to acknowledge Edward Lang, though, man. Edward Lang dropping 100 memberships in there. Edward, thank you very, very, very much. Unbelievable. And it's not the first time he's done that. That is at least the third time he has done that. Thank you, man. Zerp Twerp. Member for 16 months says 20,000 XRP could be life-changing in a few years. Vincent Wilson, 2018. Yes, Vincent Wilson would comment on every YouTuber's videos, including mine, with the same thing. I've always wondered if that guy is still around. Basem says, a member for 7 months, is it always Fibonacci used to estimate taking profit on altcoins and when to do it on market versus rather than price? Frankly, I think the safer bet is to just always do it on market cap. It's not going to have a 100% hit rate on market cap versus price chart. The problem is just like, for me, it feels like you're taking just, and it's okay to take a little bit of extra risk, but you just kind of taking a little bit more unknown risk by going with the price chart rather than going with the actual market cap chart on all of them. Pew pew, are we in no sleep season? No, we already got that one. Not yet. Chambro75, hey BCB, I just want to say hi and thank you for all the hard work that you put into this channel, which is viewers we benefit from. I know I wouldn't survive this crazy game without you. Thank you. That's very kind. And it's one thing to just kind of read that stuff on the screen, but again, go into those events and stuff and getting an opportunity to shake people's hands. And hear people say that, when I do this, when I come on here every day, I treat it like, my own YouTube videos that I like to watch every day when I get into bed. I don't watch, I certainly don't watch news. I don't watch cable TV. I rarely watch Netflix, Disney Plus, or Hulu. We either, little dirty secret, some of you know, I'll play maybe 15 minutes of Call of Duty. That's kind of our normal thing. My wife will play 15 minutes of Call of Duty. And we'll kind of pass the remote back and forth, playing some Nuketown or Bullet or small map Mosh Pit. We each maybe play 1 or 2 rounds, and then we go straight to YouTube every night. And so when I get onto YouTube, I hope to see that my people are there and that I like to watch. And sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. But when they are, it's always special to me, and I'm happy to see that they've got new content. So I acknowledge that people, crazy as it is, feel that way about me. The numbers don't lie, and the people telling me to my face don't lie. So I'm honored to be that, and I do take it serious. There are days I just have to occasionally have a day off in the middle of the week, but I do try to show up at least 80% of the time. So thank you. Freedom for all. I'm here for the frog. Thanks, BCB. Thank you very much, Freedom for all. Brandon, my life is writing on you, BCB. Let's go. With a $2 super chat. TTC, member for 6 months. Could we be seeing Wyckoff Bitcoin distribution? If so, how would you expect alts to act in the environment? Thanks. Yeah, even if it was distribution, right? So you can go back to Bitcoin's distribution from back in here. And so these are not the case, too. You have to understand, we knew this was happening in 2021, right? The thing was the altcoin market didn't do crap on this side of it, right? But with Bitcoin, we understood what was happening with Bitcoin at the top. It was, again, one of those things where the crowd hates you, right? For those who were around in 2021, this was clear as day at the time. We talked about it in YouTube videos all the way leading up in here, making tweets about it, expecting how you would see Bitcoin top. The crowd didn't believe in that. But in here, of course, you see a lot of people saying, oh, it's the same thing happening right here. It's absolutely not the same thing. Absolutely not. And this is even a 50% crash, which is what we were looking for ahead of time, right? This is not 50%. What is this? Probably 30, right? Not, and to understand the difference between 50 and 30, that's 50, right? So if you're in distribution, you'd be in this. And like, if my best guess, if you were in distribution, similar to this, it's like you're right here, right? Like we've done this. You just went up, you ABC'd off of it, and you're up in here. And then you're looking for the last push, and then you have your retrace, and then that's it. So it's like being, if you're going to draw a similarity into it, I draw it like that. But I don't think, I don't draw it to say it's like that. I draw it more like that, right? Thinking would be that we would actually see a bigger pop come out of Bitcoin than just a little push up on top. Yeah. So, but this is distribution, right? And in this distribution, this is where the Bitcoin dominance breaks support, right? So if Bitcoin's in distribution, again, that's what you're cheering for. Hate it or love it. Call me a futter. Call me whatever you want. You want distribution of Bitcoin or you want expansion of Bitcoin. Anything in between, nothing. So distribution, all good. That's what the altcoin market thrives in. There we go. Silence. Okay. Ben, are you still a mega ball of Filecoin? I feel like I'm getting trolled at this point. This is the troll from last week. I gave the guy a hard time on what are you talking about with Filecoin? All right. Maybe it was Ben. I don't know. Hans Loaded, member for 25 months. Smash the like button. My brother, thank you. Then he gifted one. Hans, thank you, dude. And then there were Edward Lang's big bombs that he ended up dropping. I eat my Wick 589 says I eat my spaghetti with a spoon. Okay, I better read this before I read it out loud because I don't know what this is. Thank you, Wick. I don't know what that is, brother. If anybody read that. PP said next members only live. Yeah, we got to get one scheduled, don't we? We'll get one soon. And if we get like a breakout, maybe we'll do like an emergency one. But I don't see, here's why I don't want to do that. The reason I don't want to do that is because I don't try to pressure you guys to do memberships for anything, right? If you do it, that's cool. That's great. You're just supporting the channel, man. I appreciate it. But I don't try to give you any promises that you get access to special stuff or anything like that. It's just kind of if you do it, that's cool. But on YouTube, look, if you want to support the channel, get access to extra hard work and stuff like that. There's the newsletter, right? There's bcbacker.com. But on the YouTube channel, I try to keep really everybody gets access to everything. If you do the membership thing, that's really nice. And we do a members live stream, which is supposed to do every month, but it's every other month. But I don't know. I'll figure it out. You're right, because it's been a little while since we've done one. So it's in my mind. It's not locked out of my mind right now. Edwards, again, thanks, brother. JJ Jacob, ABCDE for others, running flat in wave force since March 2024. Yeah, I'd look at through the same phase as what Coinbase's chart looks like. Pete Roberts, hey Backer, do you think the odds are favorable for a pullback in XRP at the top of this range, such as $2.60, or Bitcoin breaks out? XRP may just go for the full blown breakout. Also, NFA, TIA for all you do. Thanks in advance for all you do. Yeah, so for XRP, I don't know. The thing I would think you would see, obviously, no doubt, price getting back up near the top of this range, somewhere in this area right here, 255, 260. The thing about Bitcoin is that while I do think it'll escape, I think we'll probably do a small correction on top of it right here before you actually produce your 5-wave ending, where we have 5 waves and it's actual extreme euphoria. It's parabolic. The market thinks it's a major breakout, but we're building the parabola of the peak. So the question is, in my head, is will it shift back to 260 in an environment like this? And then have an ABC correction from that 260? And then the parabolic advance takes place as we actually produce a 5-wave parabolic ending, or does it just happen right through here? I don't know, but it would not surprise me if we get this break right in here, and that gets XRP up to, here, and then it back tests here, and then it goes, because Bitcoin, XRP BTC. Look at this thing. This thing has been stuck in here all month long, and it just keeps slamming that. And so if this thing does the same, it would just make logical sense that just gets back tested too, right? So, or it does it like in an ABC form, and then boom, there it goes, and it's out, right? As it's still in this range. So I think of it through that lens, but I don't know. And I don't have a way to tell you, like, here's the statistical probability of it happening, or this is how it always happens, or if like there's a bunch of examples where it happens. It's more of like a conceptual idea that it would make logical sense that you do get this breakout happen. You do see XRP push to the 260s, then it's going to correct. And that could be the time where it pulls back to here. And then the parabolic advance for Bitcoin with the 5-wave structure comes in. And then that's the parabolic advance for XRP at the exact same time as it builds a peak, right? So that would make sense to me. Hey, give me 1 second. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I spilled the beans on this a while ago. We have a cat. The cat has been clawing at the door of my office this entire stream. It's been driving me crazy. I had to stop it. I know, you're like, what? BCB, you have a cat? I know. It's very sweet. It's very cuddly. All right, Nick Peterson, thank you very much, brother, for the super chat. No message, and then new member, no message. Man, thank you very much, Nick. Welcome, brother. Justin King, where is Brett that? Is RTY at 2200 significant? Yeah, no, I don't think 2200 is significant. I think probably that level is going to be significant. You guys know it. I'll always lean on the 702 being significant. So we'll look for confluence factors happening if you get through the 702. But of course, the last one's right up there at 2307. So these two are obviously the big ones, right? Tony, man, this whole link to fiasco, I feel bad for investors. It's crazy, man. Right, I'm in the same page with you. I'll just watch from the sidelines. It sucks because I own Link2 shares. It's the only thing I bought on their platform. Spencer Goulmain, BCB from February 2025 to now, ADA looks like to me a huge Wyckoff accumulation. Are we in the spring? Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, a very sophisticated ADA question, of course. It's going to take off when this happens. If you think your XRP isn't going to take off during a moment where the whole market takes off, if you think your ADA is not going to do it, if you think your Ethereum's not going to do it, your Solana, you think your precious V chains or your XDCs or whatever H bars you have, it does not matter. It's all dependent on this. So you could study those things all you want. At this point right now, you're waiting for the market to get triggered. That is all you're waiting on right now. Then the question is, right, everybody's placed their bets. Everybody's picked, well, this is the ecosystem that's going to take over the world and change the entire landscape of the universe and be adopted, right? Well, whenever the money flows into the market, we all get to find out who is right, right? Because the reality is at least 80% of them are not setting new all-time highs. At least 80%, right? So we all try to place our bets to say, well, here's why we're placing them in this way, right? I've been real clear on how I've placed my bets. My bets are like on things of shallowest drawdowns, highest development activity, highest user activity levels. And I'm on some of those, I'm kind of like, some of these aren't looking good. But this one's interesting. And let me say it right here, of course. If you buy this coin, you're an absolute dingus. Don't buy it. I'm not going to deal with that crap. We are like, hey, you still bullish on Monero? I own Monero. You know I own Monero. It's a privacy coin. It's been delisted by every exchange except for Kraken. But I made an argument quite a while ago that it was like, it had the same setups of XRP from 2016 and 17 and the same setups of Dogecoin. Come on, baby. Come to daddy. Come to daddy. All right, so if this is right too, right, what would it imply, right? It would be another leg up. That, well, where would you have to be in a market cycle for that to happen? You would have to be getting out of an ABC and breaking out. You would have to be getting ready for a fall in dominance. You'd have to be seeing that happening in macro. You got them all lined up. Will Monero end up being one? I don't know. I hope so. Will ADA be one? I don't know. I hope so. Highest development activity, right? Consistently for like years on Cardano. So the question is just who's going to have the energy to escape? And that's really it, right? The whole market's going to move up together. Everybody's going to move up together. Some are going to have pathetic outcomes. Some are going to have absolutely glorious outcomes. And, you know, believing that this market is something that it's not. And I love you XRP people. I've spent a tremendous amount of money traveling to meet all of you. But there's some crazy. And I see it in person sometimes. There are people who legit believe it's going to $1,000. There's somebody who just heard me say, oh, how do you not know that's not going to happen? You don't know that's not going to happen. It could happen. I don't think it's going to happen. But what I do know is XRP does not behave any differently than it has. It has done. Oh, damn, I lost that chart. I've lost my chart. Oh, there you go. It did exactly what it should have done here. I took a lot of crap in 2023 and 2024 for doing this. And if you don't know, I went on stage in Australia. I went on stage in Australia and gave like a 45-minute presentation. Maybe it was like 37 minutes. I was only allotted 30 minutes, but you know what happens. I run a little long sometimes. And showed how we only expand, XRP's price only moves during expansions and during market cycle tops. And I was in Australia here and presented the argument that the price only will go up during expansions and during market cycle tops because that's what price always does. And then that's what happened. So your coin, your baby, your loved one, it's going to go up when the market does, which is probably very soon, in my personal opinion, speculative opinion. Just we're all placing our bets on who's it going to be. I have a laundry list of who I think it's going to be. I think XRP is going to do well. I think Cardano is going to do well. I think I'm praying Monero. But I have a lot more, right? Right? Like in September, I bought like a 20 coin portfolio. Some of them are trash, dude. Like, you know, anything Ethereum related has done absolutely horrid for me. And ironically, out of all different criterias, the ones that have done the absolute best have been the shallowest bear drawdown group. You know, Monero, Tron, XRP. None of those landed in high development. They only had shallow drawdowns, and those have been the best ones so far. So we'll see how it goes once it expands. But man, I went to developerreport.com today. I don't know when they updated that. Oh boy, we still have developers leaving crypto. Still, right? To be frank, developers enter when excitement happens. That's what always happens. But we're at like the exact same level we were at like the top of the 2017 bull run, right? Not like we're way up or anything like that. We're right back to where we were at around that time. So it's interesting. Hey, BCB, I've seen comparisons of Litecoin chart mimicking XRPs before 2024 breakout, but Litecoin does not have the same fundamentals. What are your thoughts? So I'm not going to go into a long. If I entertain that, I will get a lot more. All right, I'm going to do this one. That's it. You donate asking for a lot an altcoin chart, you're gonna lose your money. Don't do it. And then you're gonna call me a jerk. And I'm telling you right now, you're gonna call me a jerk. I don't want your super chat for an altcoin review. Right. The idea is that. I think it could. I think it could. Right. I think it could. Yeah, and obviously what you're arguing here is right. This is like XRP, right? And again, XRP holders, to give you just a clue of how lucky you are, you want to feel better about your investment. You understand why there's so much toxicity in crypto and there was so much hatred against XRP. Simply put, that's why. How much of this market is still below where Luna started collapsing, right? This is where Luna started collapsing back in 2022. At that time, when Luna was collapsing, XRP was 50 cents. Right? So structurally, yeah, you have the ability to shoot. If Litecoin took off, right? If it did, which again, I don't know what Litecoin's used for. Litecoin always has a near and dear place in my heart, simply because in 2017, the only 3 coins that you could buy on Coinbase were Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. So it was one that like I actively was playing around with constantly. And it's so funny to reflect back on that because people from 2017 will remember this. Remember how just $50 just felt like you could never leave $50. It went on for forever. And now here you are 8 years later. You're like, wait a minute, that was only from June to November. That was only 5 months. And then it went YOLO to 400 and something, right? Gosh, I would do anything for a 5-month range these days, right? Here you go. How do you like $75, $80 going on over 3 years? So is it wound up? Yeah, I mean it's wound up. But if it did take off, like really, my top place is like $800 if I got it. Right? I think that's a full range. I haven't checked the market cap of Litecoin to know. I think that's quite a bit higher. I don't know why 800 is on my thing. I don't know. 800 has always been a target for me for some reason. I have to look it up. Maybe it was based on the rally prior to capitulation. Yeah, that might have been it. There you go. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to have to move a little bit faster, you guys. I don't know how far behind I am. I'm probably very far behind. But I have to be done in 2 minutes. So, all right, here we go. Sandal. Right. Where would I be putting the fibs for the market cap for the December 2024 high to the low point in 2025 to work out, take profit? What do you mean? You just explained exactly. Exactly like you just said. Handicapper says, have you checked out 88 BTC? It looks very similar to the bottom before 2021, while even hitting exact same levels. Curious of your thoughts on it. I'll have to check it out another time, brother. Yeah, I mean, the reality is Bitcoin dominance is continuing up. I'm assuming all altcoin BTC charts look like just death spirals till they complete reverse on their face. BCB Padawan says he's here for BCB Spanglish. I have not given any of it to you today. I almost did when I was describing Call of Duty. My wife and I love to call it, there's a map called Bullet. It's a train. We always call it La Boleta. And my wife was calling it El Boleta. And I was like, no. You have to understand. Boleta is, in Spanish, that's the feminine descriptive because we're adding an A. So it's clearly La Boleta. And she's like, thank you. Okay. Crypto Matt TX. There are probably thousands of Spanish-speaking people in here who just shook their head at my wife and just agreed with me. Okay. What did you learn from your Crypto Go Up X poll from Crypto Matt TX? We actually talked about it for quite a while at the beginning of this video. That there's clearly no narrative for crypto right now. And whatever ends up coming, it's going to shock everybody. Not because it's going to be something actually shocking. It's that nobody knows. Nobody has any conviction on any type of narrative right now. Pat Kennedy says, what's your plan for your profits? I've never had more than 10K before. Stock market, real estate, a video on your wide goals would be awesome. Yeah. I think eventually there would be, personally, like I talk about it a lot, that I think we're like at a rotational stock market top. And I think like this could be quite a long or big correction coming for Bitcoin. And so, for me, it is more of just about cash accumulation, and I have no problem. Like for a lot of people, they're really stuck in this trap of I'm not okay with putting my money in a bank and earning 4%. I'm okay with doing that for a year or two if I have to do it. And then if like major opportunities get presented, because there is some type of like economic crash or something like that, and if I can buy some farmland, or like if there does become like a corporate real estate crash, or if there become businesses that are suddenly in financial problems and I feel like I could come in and buy that business and fix that business, that might be an opportunity for me. But right in the short to medium term, it's really for me just all about cash accumulation, treasuries, high yield savings. I'm still really debating silver right now. 3630, it's not good enough for me. I think like, and it's the train is either going to leave without me here, or the only way they're going to get me to like buy to top my bag off 1% more is if it could dip below 35, even just for half of a second on something like a C leg. I could maybe add a little bit more. But no, for me, it's not that I want to go to having zero exposure to risk assets. I just want to massively increase exposure to extremely low risk assets. Because like I always talk about, like, I don't know if it's going to end up being 65% that I end up selling, or if it's going to be more. I have debated it being more. But you know, I'm always willing that there's just like a statistical chance that I'm wrong, right? And so there has to be a little bit of exposure left in there just to be like, could I be wrong? Because if I'm wrong, I'll kick myself. Could you imagine, imagine we do go through all of this and then like we get right here to like 125, and then I'm like, all right, I just sold 100% of my crypto. And then we just went like through the longest bear market ever. And then it just like, you dingus, what were you doing? And if I missed that whole thing and like I got out right there, would I kick myself pretty hard, especially being a YouTuber, right? Like I've dedicated this crypto is not just something I do, right? It's not just some investment I have. It's been my life. Do you imagine that, right? So it's not like I would go to 100% cash. I'd maintain some exposure to it, but I'd be fully willing that exposure is, in my opinion, going to be likely lost. Right now, when I have exposure, I keep it in there because I think it's likely going to gain in value. But any exposure that I leave in there beyond that, I will think to myself, it's likely going to lose in value. But if I'm wrong, then I have some exposure, but not like the amount that I have right now. Right? You know what I'm saying? But as for like what I'm intending to do right away, I think there'll be changes in the economic landscape that it could draw my interest in any way. But okay, I got to move forward. No, I'm running late. Why am I talking? All right, I got to get through this. Lud, brother. Thank you, Pat. Lud, brother, thank you for the super chat. How do you feel? I appreciate it, man. It's generous. Happiest little place in the galaxy. Member for 21 months. Happy Independence Day, BCB. Yes, thank you. Happy Independence Day. Get your flags out, American flags out. By the way, markets will be closed on Friday, so there won't be anything on Friday, guys. I have family in town too. Sydney, new member. Welcome. Eric Smith, member for 23 months. Did you know you have 2 Edward Langs watching? One Edward Lang, one Edward Lang? Crazy coincidence. No. No, I did not. You guys should say hi to each other. Ask each other your birth dates. All right. Jaxer, member for 26 months. I'm proposing to my high school sweetheart today, and I was wondering if I could get an official BCB congratulations from Maria and Jacob. She'll love it, of course. Maria and Jacob, this is the blockchain backer. Congratulations on your wedding proposal. That is a big deal in life. Maria, you've been waiting for this forever. Jacob, don't mess it up. Congratulations. Have a good one. I hope that's good, brother. I don't know. It was on the spot. But congratulations to both of you. All right. That's it. I got to go, guys. I got to go. Check out the newsletter that was just published 2 days ago. Right? Yes. Also, yesterday was my first day off in 10 days. But it was posted over there on Twitter. But either way, guys. Frogs. Yeah. Frogs. Get the newsletter. Check that thing out. 31-minute audio voiceover recording. Talking all about expansionary stuff and all that good stuff. Frog, here we go.
It is Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Okay. Here we go. Hit the like button on your way out the door. Don't be that guy. You just close the chat, hit the like, and then you come back to the chat, or you just say goodbye. But thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And that's going to be it for this one. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all tomorrow. But that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like the live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. Stock market's turning back green. As always, Bitcoin's at 108K. As always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.